After the Great War, the world was drastically transformed. Entire cities were wiped clean in a hot flash, and people were given no choice but to settle underground in shelters, both man-made and natural. For most survivors, shelters were deep enough to escape the radiation, but for some, those having to make do with the basements and caverns beneath their homes, they were left to fester and to breed and to change into something new. And on that fateful day, the sirens called out, the missiles climbed the skies at neck-breaking speeds, and the people of Hopeville and Ashton befriended the darkness and survived. Over the next 200 years, those people have transformed into something new, something capable of living in a new world beneath the surface, or at least that's what we're told by Ulysses. Their inspiration was revealed by Chris Avellone to have come from the Mole People, creatures from a 1950s science fiction adventure film. They are eerily similar to the tunnelers, with bright eyes, dark reptilian skin, and long fingers and claws which they use to burrow deep beneath the earth. The twist is that these Mole People were once human. So is that confirmation that the tunnelers were also once human? Judging from what Avellone said, what Ulysses suspects, and the context surrounding their mysterious beginning, I think it is safe to assume that the descendants of Hopeville and Ashton descended into the caves and military installations to survive. Earthquakes trapped them below ground where they adapted to their new environment, eventually becoming the creatures that we see throughout the Lonesome Road DLC. It wasn't until the Courier, at the NCR's request, delivered a package to the Divide. A package that activated the sleeping warheads that awoke and tore the Earth in two, an event so destructive and groundbreaking that the tunnelers had no choice but to surface to see what was going on. But their bodies had since changed, and now the light of day burned their eyes and scorched their flesh. Speaking of their skin, it is thick, almost reptilian, having transformed to withstand the debris and rubble they tunnel through, which they do with surprisingly little effort. In response to this new way of life, their eyes have adapted to the darkness, now bioluminescent, emitting a low-level light used for seeing in the cramped confines of their tunnels, and perhaps used as a way of communicating across open caverns through blinking, something other mammals are known to do, just not in total darkness. Avoiding the sun for all this time will have led to a vitamin D deficiency, which is essential for bone and cartilage development. Due to this, their posture has suffered, no longer standing on two legs, instead hunkering down on all fours, which spreads their weight more evenly, but also makes it easier to dig and travel through smaller tunnels. Shockingly, this regression to an ape-like stance has not reduced their ability to fight. If anything, they are now stronger and more durable than their ancestors, and I suspect this may be caused by the changes that come with living below ground. The variations in pressure and decreased oxygen will have led to denser muscle and a greater lung capacity, meaning they are much stronger and can recover quicker than most surface-dwelling creatures. This durability means that most tunnelers can stand up to one of the wasteland's most feared creatures, the Deathclaw, and in groups as little as 3 can not only fend off a Deathclaw attack, but also take the fight to them, and more often than not, win that fight. Their main weakness, as I already mentioned, is light, but there is something else that tunnelers can't stand, and it is something you rarely encounter below ground: loud noise. Due to this weakness, things like thunder and lightning are one of the tunnelers' worst nightmares. But human weapons, such as flashbangs and flare guns, will also scare them off. However, tunnelers will always return, and in greater numbers, which can pose a real threat to entire platoons. Their fingers and toes are now elongated with claws capable of shredding basic armor and flesh alike. Their teeth are pointed, and their saliva venomous. If bitten, a simple way to survive the venomous effects is to rub ground buffalo gourd seeds into the wound and tie off the area using tubing. Although there are more permanent solutions to this, not everyone has access to them, and a simple tourniquet will suffice. Now, Ulysses has studied these creatures and believes them to be a much bigger threat than they initially seem. Yes, they are terrified of bright lights and loud noises, But they are also strong, agile, and ferocious creatures capable of building a vast network of underground tunnels, and it is that which makes them so troublesome. It is believed that these creatures will spread to the Mojave, tunneling beneath the sand and streets. It could be years before it happens, but it will, and they breed fast. They hunt in groups and can take down creatures much larger and stronger than themselves. It's only a matter of time until they extend their hunting ground and set their sights on the Mojave.
Death will come from below. In the divide, need to watch the sky and the ground. Mojave will be easy prey for them. They'll start emerging throughout the Mojave in time. Might be years, probably less. They breed fast, hunt in groups, more than enough to bring down the strongest in the Mojave, once they draw blood. Seen them tear apart Deathclaws. Deathclaw might get some, but the rest will swarm it, tear it apart, like Denver hounds.
This could very well happen, but I can't help but see a few problems. Yes, tunnelers are deadly, but marked men and Deathclaws still roam the divide. If tunnelers were such a major threat, then why aren't they the dominating species of the area? If the marked men are capable of holding them back, then factions like the NCR and Legion should also be able to. And while it is said that tunnelers are prolific breeders, we don't really know anything about their reproduction. We don't know how long their pregnancies last, or how numerous a single birth can be, or how many of them are even capable of giving birth. At the cave of Abaddon, we find their queen. She is the only one we see. By removing her, are the rest of the tunnelers simply living on borrowed time? Or are there multiple nests, each having their own queen? Or is the title of queen simply reserved for the matriarch, the most powerful female of the group, who will ultimately, if removed, be replaced? We just don't know. But even if they were to invade the Mojave, there is a place that tunnelers would surely avoid. A very bright and very loud strip that never sleeps. How could they, a creature so deeply terrified of both of these things, be its downfall? Be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already for more Fallout content. If there's anything you would like to see in a later video, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. With that said, thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.